We're there. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Seeds of Consciousness, the Zoom series dedicated to the Brazilian CFs. To be clear about that, what CFs? Those of access consciousness. And if you're here, I kind of imagine that you're not totally strange to the concepts of access consciousness. For those of you who still look around and you will hear us talking about mumbo jumbo POC and pod, please go to theclearestatement.com and look it up. So today I have the pleasure, the leisure, the excitement, and a pinch of sexualness in view to invite André Risonho with us. And yay! And before he gets to speak, I'm the boss here. So I met André in a pool in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And he just came to me and he said he's my first fan. And I officially declared him my first official stalker. So ever since, it's like, I'm like, yay, André, I want to know more about you. I want to know who you are, what you do, what's your story, what you would like to do, what are your dreams, everything. Tell us. And
Let's do it.
André, I can see you.
You're there.
So
No, okay.
Can we begin? So
yay!
Okay.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Such a pleasure to be here. And I'll say it again, just like I said on the kickoff, I was nominated as your first stalker, and now I was updated to your first fan. So thank you for that. Because it's a much better nomination.
Okay.
The first fan.
Well,
better than the first stalker. So
you're a first.
you can
That's
say.
for sure. You're a first. That's for sure.
Maybe the first stalker, but you have lots and lots and lots of fans. Only in Brazil, I know plenty of them.
You're my first one.
Aha, how does it
Get any better than that?
So guys, it's such a pleasure to be here, and I'm as Selena just said, and I've been doing Access for 1 year and almost 10 days. And actually, it's such a pleasure for me to be here with Patricia. It was my first bars facilitator ever. And she gave my first SOP session and my first facelift class and my first class. So, it's so nice to be here. And my second foundation. And wow, what else is possible? It's such a pleasure for me to be here in such a short period of time among these amazing people. And wow, and being invited by Selena, that is such a huge inspiration for me. It's so nice to be her stalker. You guys don't imagine to be also a stalker of Selena. It's amazing.
I wish you to have your own personal stalkers after this Zoom.
Yeah, plenty. Please stalk me. I'm here. I'm such an easy person to stalk. It will be fun. I promise. Just do it. Just start.
So, André, what is actually the topic of today? Because we're speaking about we're speaking about stalking.
Controlling people, stalking them to the bones. And our topic is control and allowance. And why is it our topic? Because I'm such a control freak, and I've been doing control workshops since I took my first call with Gary in November next year. And here's the story. I had a shitty life before Access. And I was doing like 12 years of therapy, and I was taking lots of spiritual healing and energetic healing and all the types of healing and medications that you can imagine. And nothing seemed to work for me in this reality. And I was like, every time somebody stood up to me and was like, oh, you should try this, you'll feel better, I would do it. And it never seem to have any effects for me. And there's an ambulance. But then when I took my first bar classes, I was like, oh my God, the whole thing has changed one day to another. And on my first week as a bar practitioner, I facilitated 20 sessions. And people were like crazy. And they were like, oh my God, my life is changing. And I feel so good. And I was like, okay, this works. And not just for me. And then in 3 weeks, I was a bar facilitator. 3 days after becoming a bar facilitator, I was taking my first foundation. And 2 months later, I was with Dane on SOP. So I had a huge way in a short time. And I was a music teacher in a public school. And actually here in Brazil, I don't know how it is for you guys outside of Brazil, in Europe and stuff, but here in Brazil, musicians do not have money and do not have much opportunities. And fucking potted, but that was like I was living in here.
Wait. Musician, okay. What do you play?
I'm a singer, but I play the piano, guitar, but I graduated as a singer. And I'm also, I don't know how to say that in English, but I'm a musical educator. That was my college degree.
I have a question.
Okay.
Can I? I mean, like.
Please.
Okay, so to what extent have you been trained to use control in what you're doing, in being a music teacher and in reaching the notes that I imagine musicians are supposed to reach, and to what extent were you in allowance of all those notes that were not coming out as they were supposed to come?
Oh, no allowance, honey. Music teaching and music practicing, in general, I can't say about all the cases, but mainly when you go to study the classical music and classical singing and opera and stuff, and you start to studying piano and you have lots of trainings to do, there is no allowance for mistakes and there's no allowance for the wrong notes and the pitch and stuff. And we are trained on a daily basis just to control our breathing, control our technique, control our fingers, control our entire body, as to get to that specific point that you can perform that note on that only way that she's accepted. And it's not fun. It has never been fun. And it has never worked for me. And that is why I always told everybody that I was like a popular musician, not a classic one, because it was never fun for me to perform musics on the way that they should be performed. I always wanted to get my own touch to it and to add stuff, and was like, and people just love it when the song, the music, the piece was like just like it should have been 300 years ago. And I was like, that's not fun. Why would I do that? Why would I ever choose that? Actually, that was not my exact words because I didn't have the tools yet, but it has never worked for me. Wow. So what I did was I started to work with bodies and with possibilities. So I started to work some ways to teach music through movement and through the bodies and through dancing and stuff. And then I had a trip to Spain when I could study some of that, some music. Oh my God, I should have prepared better to talk about music.
Oh, control freak.
Terms.
Control freak.
Control freak here. I facilitated more than 10 online workshops about control and allowance and relationships and money, because I don't know about you guys, but for me, my entire life was like, you have to be a control person. You have to control things. You have to be secure. And that's the way for you to live. And that's actually the only way to live if you're like a sensei person. And I was just the perfect child. I was as good as they wanted to be, and I was the best student in my class. I had the best notes in my entire state of São Paulo. And I've won awards for that and prizes and stuff. But at 17, I was already depressed and trying to kill myself. So it wasn't working for me. And I was,
Wow. Wait,
yeah,
wait. It's not like we are not listening to you, or we are not like into this. I'm like, shush. You were rewarded for being so good in control and for not being you.
yeah, lots of awards because actually, for me, it was the only way to function in this reality. I did not knew another possibility. I just had to do everybody that my mom, that control manipulating fucking pock and paw that mothers. Doesn't get any better.
Poke and pod that. But I really find it totally, I mean, it's like, wow, I never thought of that like that. But how much is control praised in this reality, and how much are we rewarded for control on this reality, and how much are we considered failures when we are not playing by the rules and we are not controlling everything, and everything that comes up, I'm willing to destroy and uncreate that in myself. Right, wrong, good, bad, book, online shows, boys and beyonds. So where did you learn the part of allowance, André? And what is allowance actually?
Okay, so for me, I didn't have the access tools, but I knew that this stuff wasn't working for me. And I was such a good student. So my first singing teacher, he was like training me harshly and actually not in a very good way for my body. So after some months studying 3 or 4 hours per day, being only 16 because I wanted to sing so badly, I was like, one day I woke up and I was literally spitting blood out because my throat was so hurt for being trained not in a healthy way and exhaustively day by day per hours. And I was like, oh my God, this is not working. I have to find a new way to teach people to sing so they will never hurt themselves and they will be happy, and they know that they can just sing for a hobby if that's what they like. They don't have to be trained to be the best singer ever in the world. And I was like, so I started some phonotherapy, and I started to study with them. So I began to teach singing by 17. I've been teaching singing classes for 12 years now because I just turned 29. Yay. And
you're illegally young. Come on.
And I always, that's the thing. We have always done access even before the tools. We just didn't have the tools, but we were always this kind of freak humanoids that just would not match this reality and will not fit this reality. So I turned to be a different singing teacher, and I was trying to reach people through their bodies and their experience and their pleasure to sing, and then building up their muscles and all their technique through their bodies and the sensations that the bodies brought to them, not after some ideal from the books and the manuals and the stuff on how to sing correctly. So there was some allowance there, not much, because I was always like trying to control them with the technique and the practice and the stuff, because that was so right, and I could not just give that up so easily. Because I was right. I was a teacher, and there's nothing more right than a teacher.
Wow. Wait. So control makes you right?
In this reality, oh my God. If you're not controlling everybody, if you don't control your child, your students, your relationship, if you don't control your income, your money flows, you're just some regular idiot. That's what this reality tells us. And that's why we never function through allowance, because we always have this perverse idea that we have to control and diminish stuff to the level that we can just see what's coming. And there's an illusion that never works. But this reality is about this, because this reality is so fucking intelligent that it implants us and explains us and creates all kinds of steps and controls in our body. Then when you take a step towards being free of this and having a new possibility, you're gonna feel fear, and you're gonna doubt, and you're gonna regret and remorse, and you're gonna be guilty by not being in control and not being right. So in this reality, control is about being right. I don't know how it is for you guys in Europe, but here in Brazil, oh my fucking God, we just love control. And we have to control everything the entire time, or else you're just an idiot.
Well, I don't know how it happens in Europe, but I know that the place I was born in, everything was about being the first, being right, and never being wrong. So how much energy do I have to, did I have to invest in always controlling everything and then ending up not being able to control myself?
Yeah.
Oh, and what's worse? Not being able to control the others, or not being able to control yourself?
And actually, they're both an illusion, because we have control over nothing. So what have we made so vital, valuable, and real about the order of mistaking control as a way to function in this reality and a way of being right, and actually as mistaking it as the only possibility that we have available for our lives? And everything that is, everything that brings up, can we destroy and uncreate it, please?
Oh, fuck yes.
Running around in that fucking pot on 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. And that's the stuff, because I was so right being a public teacher, and for the first time in my life having a vacation and having an income and being fit in this reality. I was, oh my God, I was right for the first time since I decided to become a musician. And I just couldn't give that up. And I asked the questions, and I knew that it will be much lighter and will create a much greater life for me and for the universe, for me to just leave my job and be a full-time facilitator. But I couldn't give that up. I knew it. I knew I was being mean to myself. I knew that I was being unkind. I knew I was not following what was right. But there was something in me that would not allow me to just leave that job and not be right. And I was like, what is this? And I started making questions. And then it hit me. It's like, the only thing I was not able to give up was control and stability. And the first question that came to me was, okay, so stability is something that tells us, that guarantees us some income and some money flows, and gives us a right amount, some amount. And so in this reality, we try to fit it, and we are convinced that that's the greater possibility. But what if stability is just a lie? It tells you that it guarantees a minimum, but actually it just stops you from creating much, much, much more and huge possibilities. And everything that riding around on that on all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. And then I started working in these control processes. And I was like, on the first day, I had 2 processes. It was like 1 minute loop, and I was running it as I was sleeping. And 40 days after, it was like 8 entire pages, and like 40 minutes loop, just about control and allowance and stability, for me to work on those energies to myself. And then it hit me, oh my God, I have to take this to more people, because we function so much through control in our lives. And I started facilitating these workshops, and it was like giving up control, functioning through allowance, the first name of my first workshop. And we have had 4 of those so far. And we have had 2 about money, giving up control, accessing more money flows or new money flows. We have had them about miracles, about relationships. And when you were like, what would you like to talk about in Seeds of Consciousness? I was like, oh my God, it would be so fun for me to to bring this up and tell my story and bring some of the processes to it, because that's the thing. We never stop to think about how much control is praised, and we think it's necessary for us to live. Like, we wouldn't be living, we wouldn't be alive, we would be in danger if we were not controlling everything. And that's a huge illusion that just keeps us apart and away from what we could really be creating in our lives.
Wow.
So, yeah. And
yeah, I was like, okay, does anybody relate to this? Are you also, or you're people who have totally allowance for everything? I always just like to know. Write in the chat if you're rather a control freak than an allowance freak. Who's who? I'm not going to call you out. It's just that, is it only me that I relate to the control freak part?
Tum, tum, tum.
Ta-da-da-dum. Who's a control freak? Hands up. We are not going to tell
you. Are you in allowance enough to admit that you're a control freak? Or
are you in allowance enough to recognize that you are a control freak? We just have Lucy. Lucy says yes.
Yeah.
And Juliana says, I relate so much. I was in all those workshops and you're here today too. Woohoo! How does it get any better than
has
that?
participated in all of them. All of them.
So who else? Who else? Nobody else? Okay, cool. Well, this is. But I really would like to ask you to tell me, when did you make the choice for allowance? Because control, it's so alluring in this life. Everybody's doing it. So when 3 people are doing it around me, I'm also trying to do that. So what has basculated you, so, you know, like into allowance?
Yeah, I started to work on this processing, on these loops in November, and it was already May, and I was not yet in allowance for me to follow the likeness and just leave my job because I was so red. But then I decided to take a 3-day body class with Dr. Anthony Mattis. That is just amazing. And I had the luck that Julia Sodas, his wife, was there. And there was some questions in the class, and they were like, oh, please, Dr. Anthony, just shows us your way, your particular way of doing an energy pull. And he was like, oh, Julia will do it because she likes better than me to do that. And Julia just took that microphone as we were swapping processes in the 3-day body class, and she did the most amazing energy pulls. And she was like, I remember it as it was yesterday. She was like, why do we live our lives as if we were alone? Why don't we trust that the consciousness and the universe has our back?
Wow.
And that hit me in such a profound way. And I was like crying for 40 minutes. And on that moment, I was like, I will never set foot again on my job. So in the 19th May, I was like, I will not do that. It was a Sunday night when the class ended. And then on the Monday morning, I was like, okay, I'm not coming to work anymore. Just find someone to replace me. And I was like, and that was the huge step, the huge leap that I did into actually recognizing the energy and following what I've known for 6 months, but I wasn't in allowance of it. And then my entire life just changed because I was like, remember that I said about the huge lie of stability? I was like, oh my God, I need this income. I need this. It's so secure. It's so right for me to know how much I'll make per month. And then in 1 week, I had 8 salaries done by facilitating. Just
in
on that
1 week, I had 8 salaries done just by facilitating.
Yeah. 8
Fucking
months.
awesome.
Yeah, and I was like, fuck, why was not I in allowance of what I knew and what was truly possible? And actually, what do I still resisting? because we are always resisting something. How does it get any better than this? We're always trying to pretend that we don't know what we know because we want to be right. How many of us...
Wait. We are always pretending that we don't know what we know because we'd rather be right.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So what the fuck is that? And everything that is and everything that brings up, let's just try and create it, please.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, poc, all my shows, boys and beyonds. Ah, it hurts.
Yeah.
Run it again, babe.
Okay. Actually, I just forgot processing, but everywhere we are trying to be right instead of being free. Can we just try and uncreate it, please?
Yes.
Right and wrong and bad talking pot online shorts, boys and beyonds, and everywhere we're pretending we don't know what we know because we rather be right. Can we just try and uncreate it?
That was it. Yeah.
Right and wrong and bad talking pot online shorts, boys and beyonds, and everywhere
it's working on me.
Through control and through being right, instead of allowing the possibilities that we are asking for to show up because they are here. We are just not receiving them because we rather be right. Can we just try and uncreate it, please?
Oh, yes.
Right and wrong and bad talking pot online shorts, boys and beyond. So these workshops have brought me so much possibilities and so much more allowance and so much more recognition of my potence as a facilitator, because oh my god, there's so much for us to reach in these kinds of particular energies of control and allowance and stuff, because we have 4 sources for creation of our life, and this is in foundation. We have questions, choice, possibility, and contribution, but control just wrecks it entirely. Because everything just starts with a question. So we can make lots and lots of questions so we can choose and we can perceive the energy of what will create most in our lives. Or every time we ask a question, you open a new door, you light up a new set of choices and possibilities for your life. But if you want to control the result, if you're vested in the result, and if you have points of view about what you're asking, you want to allow it, the lightness to show up.
Yep.
So, oh my God, why do we do that? And everywhere we are doing that because, again, we're trying to be right and to fit in this reality. Can we just try and create it?
Yes.
Well, good and bad fucking bottom line shorts, boys and beyond. And after asking our beautiful questions, there come choices. And choices are the road, the pathway of what we're trying to actualize in this reality. But if you make a choice and you stop asking questions, that becomes a definition. Because you
again. If you're making a choice and you stop asking questions, they become definitions. Mean.
Yeah. Mean. Yeah. Oh, I love it. So we always have to be in question because the universe, the consciousness knows the better and the greater ways that things can show up in our lives. And we just don't have to control it. The how.
Yes, but I want to be right, Andre. I want to be so right. Why would I ask questions when I know I'm right?
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's the catch. The opposite of being right is not being wrong. The opposite of being right is being free.
The opposite of being right is being free.
Yeah.
Wow. Meme.
Lots of memes here. And we're just trying to be right the entire time. So we make a choice and we stick with it. And the problem is we stick with the results and the equations that we made mentally of how to get to this choice, of how to actualize it. And if we make a choice and we forget to keep asking questions for the greater possibility to show up so we can make new choices or just make the easier and better and glorious or most glorious way towards it, it becomes a definition. And most of the times that we make a choice and it don't actually actualizes in our life is because we defined it. We made a definition, not a choice. So these four sources for creating our life, it's not like a math. It's not something mental in this reality. First question, then choice, then possibility. Is like question, choice, question, 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 choice, possibility, question, possibility, choice, question, 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 possibility, contribution, question, question. We cannot just forget about the fucking questions. There should be the center of our words. But what we're making the center of our words is the being right, is the being appropriate, is the being inside this reality and to prove that we are being through the effort and not just being the infinite being that truly be. And everything that brings up, let's destroy it and create that also, please.
Yes, right, wrong, good, bad, pod, coco, natural, boys and beyonds. I'm your pod poker.
Loving to pock and pod with you. Okay, you're my pod and poker. That's so fancy. I have an official pod and poker and it's Selena. Oh my God, how does it get any better than this?
How does it get any better than that? But you were saying something and I want to come back to that.
Okay.
That we are trying to prove that we are being something. So I have a question for all of us here. Does being really require a proof? And everything that comes up, can we just destroy and uncreate that? Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poker, natural, specific.
I'm also your pod and poker. Let's just do Gary and Dane.
Okay, Gary and Dane. Yeah, what's that proving energy? What's that with proving?
What is that? We're trying to prove. Okay, there's something, and
I mean, like linked to control and to allowance. When you are trying to prove something, how much are you in allowance?
Oh, not much. Because actually, if you're in allowance, you don't need to be right. You don't need to prove anything, and you can work with anything that comes up. Because that's being in allowance. It's receiving everything that is as a contribution and not judging it. And like, okay, what choice do I have here? And how can I get around this? And how can I use this in my favor? How can I use this to create my life? But the thing is, we have to judge everything that appears in front of us. And we have to control everything because we have this fixed idea of how things should show up and how they should be. And from the moment that they are not exactly how we want it, we're like, okay, universe, if it's not this way, I do not want this. And then we spend our entire life like, oh my God, nothing works for me.
Yeah. Lucy says, is it proving about to be right and not to be wrong and about judgment? Is it?
Seems to me there's that, and there's so much more than that. Because actually, we're trying to prove to who and what. And why does being approved by someone? And even if you manage to prove something to someone, where does it lead you? Just to the sense that you are right by the eyes of another person. Like, fucking pod that shit. Because
right, from good, bad, pod, poc, all 9 shorts, boys, and beyonds.
I am so fancy. Oh
you are so fancy. If you take your shirt off and you take your cup of coffee with you, you're going to be even fancier. But then there's this thing about proving. Sorry, I have a thing with my ears that like there's the buds in what have you decided actually when you're trying to prove something? It's because you have already decided something about you or about the stuff you're trying to prove, right? Not right in the right wrong, but I mean, it's like, so what have you already decided about yourself that you don't want other people to see that about you, so that you're getting out there and you're fighting to prove something that you deeply inside know that you yourself don't believe it, but you want to prove it. And when somebody is going to see that, you're going to validate that in yourself. The problem is when people don't want to see it, they will not see it, full stop.
And even if they want to see it, it won't be true for you, and you will be living a lie.
Absolutely.
So while we are doing so valuable, vital, and real about living our lives as the lie of being right and being in control, to be accepted, to be loved. Everything that is times a Godzilla. Let's destroy and uncreate it.
Yes, right, wrong, good, bad, but popcorn, nitrous, boys, and beyonds.
Yay!
You be.
And there's the thing. We ask questions and we make choices, and then comes possibilities. And possibilities are every choice that you may or may not choose. But they're all the stuff that comes with our questions and with our choices. And if you're vested in the outcome, you will never be in the allowance of the infinite possibilities that you have as an infinite being. And yet you will only see the ones that are matching your judgment.
Sorry.
Yeah, but that's like it makes us nauseous.
Yeah.
Because it's so strong. And there's fun fact about the control workshops that I facilitate. Most of the times, everybody are much nauseous and like, oh my god. Actually, I have one verbal processing that I wrote myself that made me puke for like 2 weeks. I couldn't read it.
Okay, hit us with that.
Oh, I'll find that as we speak, and I will translate it for you guys. I will open it. I'll open my PDF.
And while you're opening your PDF, maybe it would be a nice thing. You just open your PDF. If it's not open, it's open?
It's opening. But
it's opening. So the thing is, for those of you who might not know what processes are, these are absolutely phenomenal questions that you can ask so that you unlock energies that might keep you stuck. And the more you ask them, the more you're actually making space around you and get out of reaction so that you can really see what your truth is in all of this. So if you have the process, hit us with the process and we'll just say, hey, try to see what it gives you if you're running it for 2 weeks.
Yeah, let's do it. So I'll try to translate this to English like in real time. Let's see how I do. What else?
Say it first in Portuguese if it's in Portuguese.
Okay, I will. Quantas esferas nucleadas vocês têm, nutridas pelas mentiras dos implantes distratores, conectados aos aléns, eternamente além, gerando e instituindo os jails do controle em suas vidas? Tudo que isso é vezes Deus, e nós vamos destruir e descriar tudo isso?
Sim!
Certo, errado, bom e mal, pode POC, todas as 9, curtos, garotos e aléns. And that's the clear statement in Portuguese.
Oh, right, wrong, good, bad, but popcorn, nitrous, boys, and beyonds.
Yeah. So let's English it up. So, how many nucleator spheres do you have? Nourished by the lies of the to the beyonds, eternally beyond, generating and instituting the jails of control in your lives. Everything that is times a Godzilla can be destroyed and created, please.
Yes, right, wrong, good, bad, but popcorn, nitrous, boys, and beyonds. Whoa! You will have to write it down somewhere in the Facebook group for people to have this, as it seems to me, either ways that it works on me. I look at Lucy. Lucy is just covering her eyes. There's Aline over there, and she's just silent. And Patricia seems so serious. It might work on us. I'm just guessing. I'm just guessing. So
let's run it again.
Let's run it again in Portuguese.
Ok, quantas esferas nucleadas vocês têm, nutridas pelas mentiras dos implantes distratores, conectados aos aléns, eternamente além, gerando e instituindo os jails do controle em suas vidas? Everything that is times a Godzillion. Let's destroy and uncreate it.
Yes! Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, poc, all nashers, boys, and beyonds.
Yeah! And every time I facilitate a workshop, it's like this kind of energy. It's so dense, but it's so thrilling to be able to reach there and receive this huge discomfort that it brings us, but then create a much greater possibility.
So, wait. Receive the huge discomfort and then create a much greater possibility.
Yeah, because there's something that we also do because we try to control things. If something is uncomfortable, we tend to run away from it instead of receiving it as part of us and as a contribution for us to get the consciousness, the information that's behind that pain, that discomfort. Because that's the stuff. Every discomfort, every pain your body feels, it's a possibility that you're not allowing it to show up, that you're not in allowance of. So what we receive if we start to look at the stuff that makes us uncomfortable and receiving it and receiving the part of us that we are denying to be right and to be loved and to fit this reality. Everything that is and everything that brings up, let's just try and create it, please.
Yes, right, wrong, good, bad, pot, poc, all nashers, boys, and beyonds. Well, you smashed us to the walls, Andre.
Yeah.
I need a coffee. I need a coffee after this, or maybe a glass of wine, or a bottle of wine, or whatever. I need something. Thank you so much for this. It's like every day when we're reminded of how much fight we put into this control and to this being right and being wrong, and what's left for us afterwards, what's left for creation. What if we take all this energy that we invest in the fight and being right and not being wrong and take it and use it for creation? How many more possibilities could we open up, not only for us personally, but for the whole planet? I was just reading this absolutely gorgeous thing that Brandon Watt put on Facebook today. Something like, every time you're not feeling pleasure or you're not feeling joy, you're actually doing a disservice to the earth. Something like that. And I'm like, hey peeps, are you really happy when you're doing control? Are you really happy when you're right? Truth? Because to me, it's like, the more I try to be in control, the more I try to be right, it's like it never ends. I'm like continuously pulled into something that's not mine to solve, not mine to be there. And I will look for what Brandon Watts said. So everywhere you're not having fun in your life is where you're not contributing to the planet. This is the post from Facebook, just saying. So if you see this, look for it. It's been posted today. And I was totally wow. So everywhere where you're not having fun, everywhere you're in control, and not
control
in allowance.
Just limit everything. Let's just try and uncreate all of that.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, poc, all nashers, boys, and beyond.
Because the thing is, it sucks our entire energy and the possibilities for creation. And that's why, in my point of view, allowance is the exact opposite of control. And that's why things do not show up in our lives. Because we try to use the tools for being right and for getting things exactly the way we define it. They should...
I know. I mean, it's like, it's almost a physical reaction of my body. It's like, ooh, stop willing to be right all the time, bitch. Everything that comes up, would you please destroy and uncreate that? Boys
and beyond. Because that's the stuff. If we're in control, we'll never receive the contribution that the universe has, or we'll just receive it partially, because it always knows the greater, the best, the most grandiose way that it can show up. And our tiny minds will never get to that space. And that's why, as an infinite being, we're not vested in the outcome. We choose to create what's slighter. We remain in the question so we can access all the possibilities and choose and make questions to create our lives through the contribution of the universe.
Our lives through the contribution of the universe.
Yeah.
I'll just repeat that. Create your life through the contribution of the universe.
What else would be possible if we were in this space to give up control and to create our lives through the contribution of the universe? Because consciousness always has our back.
Yeah.
As much in a way that if you're trying to sabotage yourself, it will have your back also.
And not exactly in the way you're looking for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was a so on both sides. You first and then me.
You first, honey.
Oh, ladies first, beauties after.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you so much for bringing up this topic and for being the lightness that you be. And even recognizing that there are still pieces of moments in time when you're still doing control. And that's okay. And that's all right. So everywhere where you're just getting into the judgment of yourself, I'm a control freak again. Okay, cool. So what's next? This moment is done. What do you choose for the next 10 seconds? And thank you for this huge contribution that you are for the Seeds of Consciousness.
Thank you.
You just blew a few seeds here and there across oceans. And yeah, we never know how they will, where they will land and what will the effect be on people. But I'm willing to be surprised. Are you willing to be surprised?
Oh, I'm so willing to be surprised and to not control what the seeds will turn out to be. Because that's the stuff. And what choices do we have? Once we're like, okay, I'm a control freak. Okay, I'm trying to control this person. I'm trying to control my relationship. Okay, that's what I'm doing. So what else is possible now? What choice do I really have here if I don't have to be right? And if I'm willing to be judged by it.
Yeah.
Like,
Judgment.
Okay, if I stop resisting, if I stop fighting, what choice would I have here? And what is the illusion that I have here that I'm getting? That actually I'm not getting, but I like to think that I am.
Absolutely.
And
it's an illusion. And right, wrong, good, bad, POC, all nine shows, boys and beyond. Peeps, we will have to say goodbye right now because I know you're willing to jump on the other call coming up. And I'm not going to be the one who's going to spoil your fun of being there up and about. Thank you so much, André, and all of you who were here, who stayed there to listen to us, and those of you who are going to watch later. And until next time, there's this thing, possibly you don't know, all of life
comes to me
with ease
and joy
and glory.
Yay!
Next week, we have Seeds of Consciousness with Lucy! With Luciana! Yay! How does it get any better than that? It's the same time. Please remember, it's going to be your time, not the European time. We are going to update and adjust the timetables over there because Europeans just changed the time. So we are 1 hour somehow. So until next time, kisses and hugs. Thank you so much and have fun, you control freaks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.